Thank you for joining me for the Daily Bread Bible study. We are venturing into the book of Micah, chapters 1 through 4 today for day 265, Monday, September 21st, 2020, here of the Daily Bread Bible study. The book of Micah is a book about justice and peace, and especially hoping for justice and peace by correcting the current injustice and strife that exist in Micah's time. So Micah seems to be around the context of the time of the nation of Israel being sacked by the Assyrians, which is around 720 BCE, but it also references Babylon, which is like more of a 6th century BCE thing, so that seems a little strange. This indicates to me maybe there's some editorial work that's been on the construction of the book of Micah, but who did this? I have no clue. Anyways, regardless of that, that doesn't change much about his message. Now, Micah's message applies to any system of injustice, and especially the famous words here in Micah 6:8 reminds us of what this is about. God has told you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God? So, let's continue in that vein. Here in Micah chapter 1, verse 1, we have the context saying, "The word of the Lord came to Micah of Moresheth in the days of King Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah of Judah, which he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem." So both Samaria and Jerusalem, the two capitals of Israel and Judah, respectively, these centers of leadership and influence were also corrupted in his eyes. And continuing a theme that's pretty common in the prophets, idolatry leads to perverting God's ways and has the consequences of deconstruction. In Micah 1:5, "All this is for the transgression of Jacob and for the sins of the house of Israel." What is the transgression of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? And what is the high place of Judah? Is it not Jerusalem? So those high places, Samaria and Jerusalem, both the places where false worship in Micah's eyes are happening, and also the places in which the people with power are making decisions on behalf of the nations. Because of this straying, all of this corruption, Micah declares that, quote, "her wound is incurable," and the injustice has spread across all of society. It permeates their actions as nations. This is to be lamented, and because of this, Samaria will fall to the Assyrians, and they will be led away into exile. In Micah chapter 2, Micah feels told not to preach about the injustices he sees. His concern over the issues and his love for the needy mandates that he speaks on God's behalf. Micah sees a few noteworthy issues in Micah 2, verse 8. "But you rise up against my people as an enemy. You strip the robe from the peaceful, from those who pass by trustingly with no thought of war. The women of my people you drive out from their pleasant houses. From their young children you take away my glory forever." This basic day-to-day life is being threatened among those who need it the most. The children, the women, all of the needy in their society. The rules of the house are being disrupted. This order, this peace, this home life is in danger. Micah cares about having stable homes. He believes that home life is very important. And the English word for this home life is rooted in two Greek words, nomos and oikos. Now, nomos means rules or laws or order, and oikos means the house, the home. So this home life is ordered within each home. And this idea of is captured in our English word economy. Now, if this seems slightly ironic, it's because the sense, this widespread understanding in the United States is that the economy is something outside of the home. It involves work outside of your house. But in the original sense, it is much more focused on the works that happen within the home. And so thus, when the needy are being dispossessed of their homes, this is an economic issue. And God is calling Micah to proclaim economic justice, which means the needy not getting dispossessed from their homes. Now, I'm not sure who is seizing or coveting their inheritance exactly. My best guess is what's referenced in Micah 3 verse 1, specifically the heads of Jacob and the rulers of the house of Israel. That's who is addressed in chapter 3. It is probably who Micah is addressing here. Those agents of the people in power oppressing the poor and the needy and causing economic issues for them. So Micah sees that the Lord will intervene on behalf of the needy and provide them with economic relief, with words that, as Christians, we can see referencing Jesus. So this is Micah chapter 2, verse 12. I will surely gather all of you, O Jacob. I will gather the survivors of Israel. I will set them together like sheep in a fold, like a flock in its pasture. It will resound with people. The one who breaks out will go up before them. They will break through and pass the gate, going out by it. Their king will pass on before them, the Lord at their head. Jesus uses a lot of imagery, the imagery that we have in the New Testament references Jesus as a shepherd, one who shepherds sheep. He's illustrated as the good shepherd, willing to lay down his life for his sheep. This imagery is very much biblical and focuses on themes, especially here in Micah. So Micah chapter 3 moves on in verse 1, repeating who I referenced before. And I said, listen, you heads of Jacob and rulers of the house of Israel. Should you not know justice, you who hate the good and love the evil, who tear the skin off my people and the flesh off their bones, who eat the flesh of my people and flay their skin off them, break their bones in pieces, chop them up like meat in a kettle, like flesh in a cauldron. This is rough imagery, but the idea is that they are, in Micah's eyes, consuming the people by their injustice. Additionally, Micah critiques the prophets who defer to the rich and chastise the needy in verse 5. Thus says the Lord concerning the prophets who lead my people astray, who cry peace when they have something to eat, but declare war against those who put nothing into their mouths. In Micah 3:11, it's illustrated as, its rulers give justice for a bribe. Its priests teach for a price. Its prophets give oracles for money. All of these things the leaders are doing for their economic benefit, for their own gain of money, in order that they might have more than they need. And in some essence, robbing the individuals, the poor and needy, from being able to have enough. So Micah proclaims the destruction really is their fault. In Micah 3:12, therefore, because of you, Zion shall be plowed as a field. Jerusalem shall become a heap of ruins, and the mountain of the house a wooded height. Micah chapter 4 continues, saying in verse 3 that, I should give a little bit of a background. So Micah 4 moves into this imagery of what it's like when God shows up, when God leads, when God comes. And so this is a reference to the Lord. here in Micah 4, verse 3, saying, "He shall judge between many peoples. He shall arbitrate between strong nations far away. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. But they shall all sit under their own vines and under their own fig trees. No one shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken." This economic peace is ushered in by the Lord, and the needy and rejected will be included, which is the exact opposite of the injustices that are happening under the kings of Israel and Judah at the time. So in Micah 4:6, "In that day, says the Lord, I will assemble the lame and gather those who have been driven away, and those whom I have afflicted. The lame I will make the remnant, and those who were cast off a strong nation. And the Lord will reign over them in Mount Zion, now and forevermore." When they are rescued from Babylon, again it references Babylon, seems strange to me, but Zion will have an economic abundance that they will share. And in Micah 4:13 it says, Zion, quote, "shall devote their gain to the Lord, their wealth to the Lord of the whole earth." So the idea is that people will have enough and be willing to share it, to not hoard it in for themselves or to seek to oppress other individuals, but because God is at their head and takes care of their needs, they will have peace. They will be able to eat fruit from their own, small little part of the earth that they get to tend to and be stewards of and garden and take care of things. So there will be peace. Now, all this to say is, may we not neglect the poor and needy in our midst or fail to provide economic security for those who are searching for peace. Remember that we are in this together and that we are called to be generous, to work hard, be diligent in our own tending to the vines and the work that God gives us, but at the same time too, to be mindful of those who need help. So may we be generous, may we be loving and kind, and look forward to talking more about this next time.